Welcome back to Nigeria, the road to 2019. I'm Charles Anyegodu. Well, the campaigns are underway and have been for several weeks now, yet we're not hearing much from the main parties or the alternatives. Everything seems to be crawling, and at this stage, with 2 months to go before the main event, it all feels rather lukewarm. So why is that? Well, let's speak now to the presidential candidate for the Advanced People's Democratic Alliance, or APDA, Shitu Mohammed Kabir. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you.
First of all, where exactly do you fit in the larger scheme of political things in Nigeria? Because it appears that for many Nigerians, there are just 2 candidates with an additional maybe 3 others, and the rest are pretty much indistinguishable from the background foliage. I mean, where do you stand in the pecking order of who's who in Nigerian politics?
For us, we believe that you could be thinking in maybe the media, maybe to say 2 parties are main, but after the 2019 election, I believe you will now see that the political terrain has changed from what you might be calculating now. I believe that our party, Advanced People Democratic Alliance, will take, because we are contesting the whole Nigerian state, and we have formidable forces. We have people that can win elections. In Kano, we have Mohammed Abacha. In Sokoto, we have Senator Gada. I don't not mention
governorship
names for governorship.
Right.
We have senators, and we believe that at least we'll coast home with enough numbers of gubernatorial, senatorial, and House of Rep and state assemblies. So for now,
so you're not holding out hope for the presidential elections, which you're clearly running. Well, you didn't mention that.
You see, you cannot be running and believing that you win if you know that you cannot win states, and you cannot win assembly, because you cannot win senators and House of Reps. I have to give you those statistics for you to know that yes, I have confidence that we'll take this slot.
So what are you counting on to help you achieve victory? Are you, for instance, counting on a lot of disappointed voters who have tried both the PDP and the APC and found them wanting, and you hope that these sort of disgruntled or protest voters will come to you?
For us, we don't believe in maybe protest voting. We believe that each era, each time has its peculiar. And 2019, the peculiarity in 2019 is that I'm young, I have been around, I've been in an area that Nigerians have seen what we have done in area of party politics, in area of putting Nigerians in a better perspective. And I believe that I will be judged by those antecedents. And
well, tell us what you've done.
Good. For us, I started politics in 1992, and in 1993, I was chairman of this municipal local government of NRC. And
what municipal local government? You mean
municipal
Abuja, the federal capital territory.
Right, territory. And by my antecedents, Nigerians know that what comes first before me is Nigeria, is the betterment and the welfare of the country, and how we stand in international politics. And we believe that whoever has gone through this will know that what I'm saying is that we must not, as a country, we must chart a way for ourselves. When China got themselves into where we are here today, what Chinese did was to now, took capitalism, took socialism, and marry it with communism, and bring out socialism in Chinese character. And that is what we have been preaching in this country, to say, look, enough of the way we are running the country. From 1960s to date, we have been running on one thing. We call ourselves capitalists. Are we? What type of capitalists are we?
I have to just say that you're making a very important point here. And you're one of the very few people I've actually heard talking about this, because you're talking about an ideology, a political ideology, which is something that we just don't find other parties talking about.
That is because we are over time. I was elected in 2013 as chairman of African Young Leadership Forum in China. I've gone to several courses in US, in China, in UK, and we have been able, I've studied the economy, I've studied it. I've seen that until a country chart a way for itself. And
that is unique to that particular country.
Because will you marry your economy?
It's a very interesting point.
You must marry your economy with your culture. You must marry your political system with your culture. What are our cultures? We had empires. How were those empires run? How are we running the country today? It's different. When I go back to say, when Chinese find themselves, we are in the same way before Chairman Mao came. Chairman Mao tried cultural revolution. He tried, it almost crumbled China. But when Deng came in,
Deng Xiaoping.
Yes. Yeah. When he came in, he took advantage of cultural revolution and upturned it economically. And before you know it, they closed their border. And they believed all what they need in China, they said no import. You must, whatever we have, we must use it here. And we must grow whatever we need. And the same thing, now that Nigerian has got their self, that is why I want them to give me a chance. Give me a chance to look back at our economy. Look back at how we do our political system. It's quite wrong. You are practicing democracy. Okay, you are saying it's expensive. How do you deviate from expensive democracy? How was our culture? We must marry our culture and our political system. How do you marry it? We had empires. We had monarchies. We call ourselves Federal Republic.
So in a sense,
you're practicing. We have emirs. We have all this. Then, when you go to economy, we call ourselves a capitalist nation. Are we really capitalist? If we are capitalists, what type of capitalists are we practicing? We have gone all hog into capitalist without looking at the welfare of our citizens.
So in a sense, what you're advocating is a return to almost the mists of time before the advent of colonialism and all of that, to say, well, what systems prevailed in this country and how can we tap into that to create a new political and economic system that would be relevant to the Nigeria of today?
That would be Africa. We must reflect our political, economic and social life according to our culture.
The problem with that, Mohammed Kabiru, is that Nigeria was a country of many nations when it was amalgamated into one country, and it still is the problem. It has a diverse ethnic populace, each one. If you just look at the three main ethnic groups, for example, they're nation states, each one with their own philosophies, and almost philosophies that are in contrast, that are constantly bucking heads against the other ones. So what system have you, given these realities that are prevalent in Nigeria, what system do you think, or have you thought it through, what system you'd like to put in place, political and economic here?
Yes. Before I give you that answer, I want to let you know that all the great nations have diversity. If you go to China, you hear about they only speak one, but they have several other tribes and languages. And they are even in political system. China has over 7 political parties, but you only hear of CPC, because CPC is like the head. And all other political parties are also represented in the assembly. And if you look at even Europe were not one. You had Ottoman Empire there that broke into several empires into the time before you advent of France taking over Sweden, and all there are differences. There's nowhere, no country, no continent that are one. Therefore, why do we allow what's supposed to strengthen us to divide us? Why can't Chinese say this is Huan, I can speak Huan, I have to speak my own ethnic language. They all speak one when it comes to issue of the nation. They all speak of one party, which is CPC, when it comes to nationhood. But when they go back to their rural area, they go back to their several political parties and their languages, and that help them. Even in the US, you are talking, you have the Indians, you have several tribes. But today, you only speak English, and they only have one house, and they believe in themselves. That is what we are saying. As a country, we should define our own democracy. Either we call it Afro-democracy or whatever we call it.
Right, so you don't actually have a clear sense yet of what you want to do. But what you want to do is to, if you win power, you will then say, well, we must evolve our own system.
We have a clear vision of what we want to be.
Right.
We want to design our own political system according to our culture and belief. We want to design our economic system. For example, you ask me, when you are talking of economic system, what we have comparative advantage on is agric. That is the area we have comparative advantage. And we are agrarian society up till this 21st century. We must take our agrarian society into agric hubs to become industrial hubs of the world, so that the world comes here, not for us to go to them. It is when the world, we are able to entice the world to come here, that economic blossom will start in Nigeria. How do we do that? We must take comparative advantage of what we have. And what we have are these raw materials that the international community want. And how do we do that? For us, we ban the exportation of any raw material. And if you want to have a taste of our raw material, you bring your processing plant here.
Right, so you want to create the value chain.
We have to create value chain.
And have it inside Nigeria.
Right.
Because
you must,
in other words,
see,
so an essential part of that agricultural policy will be industrialization.
Industrialization.
Right, okay.
And because you must take comparative advantage. Every country that does not take comparative advantage of its own resources is doomed. American today, you can see what American is doing to Canada that are even their own brother in the area of steel. Trump have to come to say, look, I'm taking advantage of the steel I have to better the lot of my people. And this morning I saw the statistic where already the steel is already adding 6,000 employees into their post. What are we doing in this country? Even our own crude, we have to export to be able to refine.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
And you are saying we will grow?
It doesn't make any sense.
We are not here to lay blame.
Yeah, but there isn't much difference from what you're saying, between what you're saying and what the PDP are saying. I mean, the PDP are saying essentially the same thing, that if they come into power, that they are going to not only liberalize the economy, but they're going to make sure that things like the refineries, that the capacity is built, and that they're going to make sure that things like the NNPC is either liberalized or sold or something, privatized to a level where it is able to become more efficient. So the essential missing ingredient is efficiency.
You see, we don't like comparing notes with other and blame game, but we have seen what they did in 16 years. And when you are talking, what are the mood? When you said I'll sell NNPC, will you now bring foreign investors to take over NNPC and they will better your lot? Is that the way to take advantage of your own resources? That is not the way to take advantage of your resources. The best way to take advantage of your resources is that you close your border. You look for the money inward. We have the money. We have the resources.
When you say close borders, you mean stop imports?
For us,
right.
We'll negotiate World Trade Organization, and we'll tell World Trade Organization it is time for us to take advantage of our own, because if Nigerian collapse, the world will feel the pulse. You have the refugees that will run to your country. You must now give us this concession as World Trade Organization. We want to now close our border. When we say close border, we are saying there are those resources we have here, that you must come to us to come.
Yeah, but if you're talking about closing the border, I'm trying to be clear on the points that you're making.
Yeah.
Are you saying that you're going to stop imports? Because you have a lot of foreign companies that are already in Nigeria. You have a lot of industries that are already in Nigeria, the big companies, Nestle and all the rest of them, who make things in this country. When you say close the borders, are you saying that you're going to nationalize those companies, keep them within Nigeria, and then stop imports from coming in? We need to be very clear on what you're saying.
Okay, you see, we must follow globalization trend.
Right.
In following globalization trend, there is no way you will say that I close my border and I nationalize.
Yeah, well, that's what you essentially said. You would close your borders.
That is not,
yeah.
Yes. What we are saying, World Trade Organization give us concession for the next 50 years. What we want is that, yes, if you want to invest in Nigeria, you are welcome. But you must process whatever you are taking out of Nigeria, because this is the only way to create employment. If you are taking solid mineral out of Nigeria, you don't just take raw gold and go and refine in Switzerland and bring for us. No. We turn Nigeria into industrial hub, where you come here, take our gold, refine it here, then market it here.
That's a very interesting point. So in effect, the condition for somebody being able to have access to the considerable raw materials in Nigeria is that they must create a value chain for that raw material inside Nigeria.
Yes.
Otherwise, forget it.
Forget it.
Right. So if you're going to take our crude oil out of this country, you build a refinery. So you refine it here, right.
You can take it anywhere in the world.
And what if they say they won't do it? Because the bottom line is
if
that
they won't do it,
if they look at their profit margin, I mean, the incentive is not to develop your country. The incentive is to make profits.
Yes.
If they come here and their profit margin is considerably, dramatically less than what it would have been if they simply exported the crude oil, they could say, we're not going to do it.
That is how we are government. We look elsewhere. We look at other advantage we can take with our resources. There are advantages to take with your resources.
And of course, one of your contemporaries, somebody that you cited in your quest to achieve political clout within Nigeria, was Mohammed Abacha, who is the son of the former military dictator Sani Abacha. That's the person you're fielding as a candidate in Kano.
Yes.
And presumably he shares this your philosophy, which might make a few people suspicious and wonder that whether how much of it borders on dictatorship.
That is why I said to you, we will negotiate. Negotiation is an instrument.
No, I understand that, but that is on the economic level.
Yes.
You also talked about a political change.
Yes.
And that's a critical part of what you're saying, is that you're going to have both economic and political change.
Yes.
So on that political level, we've got the picture from the economic point of view.
Yeah.
Give us the picture from the political point of view.
Okay, from the political point.
Yeah.
We said, okay, we are practicing democracy. We have different type of democracy. We have welfareism democracy as it practiced in the Europe.
A sort of socialist type of democracy.
Yeah, we call it
Welfareist, which is more of a British.
Yes.
More of a British system. There's
Where
a strong welfare element.
Where the citizens have what it takes.
Yeah.
And that they also now contribute their own. But now you are practicing democracy here. What type of democracy? We are practicing capitalism. What type of capitalism?
So the democracy is essentially a copied democracy.
Copied.
Right.
We will now look inward, as we have looked inward in our blueprint, to say this democracy we are having, the main focus of government is to keep welfare for the citizen, is to be able to provide essential things of life and allow citizens to strive on their own. But this one we are practicing, that we are saying, okay, today, and that is why you see, let me give you an example on an electioneering. And when I was chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council, I brought in 2 bills. I proposed 2 bills.
Right.
And I said, 1, proportional representation. You may laugh of it, but it will help the country. And we said, electoral offenses commission must be established, because if we want to strengthen our own democracy in our own way, we are Africa, you must bring in proportional representation. Proportional representation in the sense that if Party A, if APDA and APC, Party APDA is coasting home with just 51% vote, and APC is coasting home with 49% vote, APDA take the day. APC have to go back to drawing board. And that is why you have desperation. People are desperate. How do you do that? We say, okay, if I have 49% of vote and you have 51% of vote, we say, if you get up to 25% of the vote, you have so number of legislatives proportionally. And you also participate in the government.
Right. Well,
that reduces the burden of desperation.
Right. Okay. I have to say that I would love to talk to you a lot more. You're an absolutely very interesting character, and your ideas, I think, are ideas that a lot of people in this country should hear. But unfortunately, we're out of time. But I have to say it was a pleasure talking to you. Shitu Mohammed Kabir is the presidential candidate for the Advanced People's Democratic Alliance, or APDA. Thank you very much indeed. Well, that's it for this edition of Nigeria, the Road to 2019. Join us again for a fresh edition tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye, and thank you for watching.